Good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
Oh, you're so cool, Brewster! Everybody's a suspect! Hey, Ted, where the hell's Corkscrew? Don't fuck with the Chuck!
Thank you for tuning back in to Toe Tag Reviews. I'm Chuck, and today we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite clowns from outer space, all right? Killer Klowns from Outer Space, 1988, directed by Steven Chiodo. I've heard it pronounced both ways. The actors and crew members were friends of the filmmaker, and they were kind of hired for like financial purposes to keep the budget down. The Dickies wrote this badass fucking track for this song. A sequel has been in development for 25 plus years, and I guess it's just stuck in like purgatory. They just can't move forward with it, and it sucks because everyone loves this movie. As ridiculous and out there as this movie is, it's a really out there movie. It's in the title, Killer Klowns from Outer Space. What? Another fun fact for you guys, the clowns in this movie were repurposed for Ernest Scared Stupid. So on to the movie. The movie starts with just some random guy crossing the street drinking beer. That's all it says on the can, just beer. And we get to see Officer Mooney, and he's like this bitter old prick of a cop, honestly. He hates everyone, he hates everything, he hates his partner, Dave. Just one of those guys, you know what I mean? Mike and Debbie, the main characters of the movie, they are out at Top of the World, which is kind of like a lover's lane. The Terenzi brothers come up selling ice cream and kind of cock-blocking everybody.
Everyone's favorite frozen delight, the liquor stand.
Turns out that the Terenzi brothers are best friends with Mike, but they end up seeing a comet fly across. We get to see Farmer Green, who's this super cliche hillbilly. I love his lines. But he goes to like investigate the crash site, and he discovers that it's a gigantic circus tent. He realizes that it's all metal after he tries to punch it because his dog comes up missing. He tries to punch it and he gets electrocuted. It is so bad, but oh so good. To sum up this movie is just like chef's kiss, man. It's so out there, ridiculously fun. Yeah, it's all over the place, but I love it. Mike and Debbie, they go to investigate it. They go inside the tent and they realize that it's not a circus tent. They realize that it's something different, something like otherworldly. They find these giant cotton candy cocoons. They realize that a dead body is in there. Then they see a clown coming, goes after them. We get the popcorn gun, we get a cotton candy gun, we get acid pies, and like I said, it's so fucking awesome. I love it. In every sense of the word, I love it. To make it more ridiculous, Mike and Debbie end up escaping. The clowns end up blowing up balloon animals, and he makes like this dog. It starts sniffing them out and like tracking them. It's so great. It's just brilliant. Mike and Debbie go to tell Dave about the cotton candy cocoons and the spaceship and everything. Obviously, they don't believe him. And Officer Mooney's in the back just kind of making fun of him. And since Dave's like a new cop, he kind of like throws a lot of jabs at him for being like a rookie. Talking about the academy teach you this, and the academy teach you that. And like Mooney, he's just a bitter old prick who's just stuck in his ways, you know? He definitely portrays movie cops perfectly. We get to see Mooney say the title card.
Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Holy shit.
We find out that Debbie and Dave used to be a couple. He's kind of like still opening up to Debbie, and we see Mike in the backseat, and you can just feel like how uncomfortable he is. You know, like that's just not a pleasant ride. But the clowns end up going door to door, turning people into cotton candy. Eventually, they get the whole town, but we kind of get to see them go door to door. They're delivering pizzas and shit like that, and flowers and all this stuff. It's so wild, man. We see the clowns destroy a gas station. It's kind of like a drugstore gas station duo or something. I don't know. It's adorable because they're like messing with shaving cream. It's getting him all on his nose, and he's sniffing baby powder and sneezing everywhere. And we get the most useless manager of all time, just like doesn't utter a word. He just But we get to see Mike take Dave up to the crash site and realizes that the tent's gone. Dave kind of feels like he's just messing with them, so he arrests him. They're heading back to the station. They kind of encounter this biker gang, and the biker gang's messing with him, destroying his little tiny tricycle and everything. This is one of my favorite moments in the film, and it's the VHS rewind.
Clear.
The VHS rewind moment is,
What are you gonna do? Knock my block off?
the biker had it coming for picking on the clown. I'll give him that. Like, the dude was a dick. It's just so funny watching him punch his head clean off. On their way back to the police station, though, they come across a bunch of like vacant cars. Dave pulls over to check it out and sees that one of them has like cotton candy all on the outside of the car and on the inside, and then he finds missing glasses. He lets Mike go free because he's starting to realize that he's telling the truth and that there are killer clowns.
From outer space.
Yeah, we get to see some random guy just driving down the road. I think his name was Joe, maybe. I don't know. One of the clowns is on a invisible motorcycle. Doesn't have handlebars, nothing, just headlights. And you can see him kind of like turn into the vehicles, running him off the road. What is that? On their way back, Dave apologizes to Mike about being so tough on him and everything. For a moment, I thought we were going to see some character growth here, but we don't. It was a backhanded compliment. He goes,
It's obvious she goes for laughs, not stability.
and even Mike's like,
Oh, you motherfucker!
we see one of the greatest moments of this film and probably one of the most memorable moments of the film. I want to address all the clowns, but I Googled how many there are and there's a fuck ton. So just to make it easier for editing purposes, I'm just going to call it the clowns. We see one of the clowns doing like this really abstract shadow puppets on the wall. Mike and Dave are heading back. He pulls over because he sees one of the clowns and he sees it turn into a dinosaur and it eats all the people like at the bus bench. I don't know. It's just super fucking cool, that whole sequence. I love it personally. Mooney ends up getting a call from Dave telling him that the clowns are real. No bullshitting. The clowns are real. There are cocoons. They're killing people left and right. And Mooney's still stuck in his ways. Fuck you, Dave. I'm not going to believe you. You're not going to drive me out of the forest, blah, blah, blah. Just being a turd. We get to see one of the clowns show up to the precinct, kind of like messes with Mooney, gives him a flower and squirts him in the face. Just a good LOL moment, you know? He ends up arresting the clown. He willingly goes into the jail cell. He ends up attacking Mooney and the two cellmates that are in there. We see him in the beginning of the movie. They're just drinking wine, like strolling through the park and everything, and Mooney decided to pick him up. Anyway, the clown's in there with them. He eventually turns them into cotton candy cocoons. Dave shows up to the police station and sees the clown controlling Mooney as kind of like a puppet, like a ventriloquist. And that whole sequence was really cool, and then it flips on a dime. It gets a little dark.
Don't worry, Dave. All we want to do is kill you.
Dave ends up killing the clown by shooting him in the nose, and then he realizes that's how you defeat him. That's their only real weakness. The Terenzi brothers end up taking Mike to Debbie's house, and on the way, they see like this circus float. It's kind of like a parade sort of thing. In the front, there's like this giant vacuum that's sucking up all the cocoons. She's being attacked by toilet clowns, hamper clowns, and then they all kind of like show up at her house. They encapsulate her in like this giant balloon, I guess. The Terenzi brothers take Mike to go to Debbie's house to make sure she's okay. It turns into like this high-speed chase, like Fast and the Furious style. Clowns are going one way, the Terenzi brothers are after them, and then they zip past Dave, and Dave's following them too. They end up heading to the amusement park. There's a security guard there. The clowns throw acid pies at him and melt him. One of the smaller clowns, I think his name's Shorty. I think that's one of the only ones I do know. Shorty and Fatso, if I remember right. But he ends up putting a cherry on top of his molten corpse just for like nice little touch. The brothers get separated and they end up getting in like this giant ball pit, and these two clowns have inflatable boobs. Yeah, Mike and Dave end up finding a bunch of cocoons, and they pretty much realize it's the whole town. We see one of them take like a silly straw and stab the cocoon and like slurp out all the blood. Just the fact that it's a silly straw. I mean, I don't expect anything different. It's clown, you know, it's fun, haha. They end up saving Debbie. All the clowns are after them. They go through door after door after door, and they kind of make their way to the bottom of the spaceship. They're surrounded by all the clowns, and then the Terenzi brothers break through, saving the day, in a sense. Clownzilla comes down, this gigantic clown, like the final boss.
Fight!
He attacks the Terenzi brothers and takes their ice cream truck and like whips it across the spaceship, blows up, think they're dead, but guess what? They're not. Dave does the heroic thing and draws the tension away so Mike and Debbie can leave. He ends up getting attacked by Clownzilla, takes his little badge off, pops it right in the nose, boop, explodes, kills it. As the spaceship explodes, you see one of their clown cars fall down. Inside is Dave and the Terenzi brothers, and they claim to have hidden in the freezer. So when the ice cream truck exploded, they decided to hide in the freezer, and I guess that was going to save them. I'm at a loss for words at that part. They actually end up living happily ever after. That's this movie, man. It's just a super wild, makes zero sense at all, fun ride. That's the beauty of the 80s, man. They made a bunch of just what the hell movies, but they didn't care. They know they weren't supposed to be taken seriously, and that's why I love and respect the 80s movies. Because they have movies that are out to get you, and then they make shit like this. I guess it falls on which side of the fence you're on. You know, do you like that stuff? Do you not? Me personally, I eat that shit up all the time. I love cheesy 80s movies. This is probably one of the best, if not the best cheesy 80s movie. Pros to the movie, great concept, great effects, great set design. The cons, though, there aren't any. Yeah, you heard that right, folks. This has been my review for Killer Klowns from Outer Space. We're almost at 400 subscribers. We love you. Thank you deeply. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We'll keep you updated on all videos. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Until then, see you later.